welcome back to my super informal insurance adjuster channel. Well, it's formed into that. It used to be a traveling channel. So I'm Haley. I've been an adjuster for like 3 years, and I like to share my non-specific experience, mostly because a lot of people that are on the Facebook pages and everything just love to go on there and argue. So I like to just talk about general information that is specific to just general things, my experiences that can't be debated because they were my experiences. So today I wanted to talk about some of my favorite and not favorite moments as an adjuster. So not really quite sure where I'm going to go with this. I'm just going to kind of rant about it. So my first deployment was in Louisiana. It was hot as hell. It was the most disorganized thing until the next one, of course, and then the next one, of course. So I'd say one of my least favorite things about deployment is you don't have any idea where the heck you're going, what the heck you're going to be doing. And it's really hard to prepare for that. You know, they'll say, okay, you're going to Louisiana. Okay. Well, that's all we know. We just know you're going to Louisiana. Okay. So when do I leave? And they're like, well, leave in a little while. Okay, a little while, like 10 minutes, like tomorrow, a week from now. We'll let you know. Okay, so you have no idea where you're going. In my case, I'm pulling a camper, calling all these campgrounds, trying to find somewhere to stay. Everyone's closed. Everybody's blown away. There's no power. There's no water. There's no gas. All that stuff. So you're heading over there hoping for the best. Meanwhile, you're trying to, maybe you have claims by then, so you're trying to get in touch with all your insureds, make sure they're okay. That is important. You know, not just saying, hey, how's it going? We're scheduling our appointment. Be there, be square. Goodbye. No, you gotta like ask if they're okay. How was their experience? What was it like? You know, because that's our job, is to care about that. So that's super important. So, you know, you're dealing with all of these things at the same time. You know, like a normal job, you go there, you're in a climate controlled environment, perhaps, maybe not, I don't know. You know where you're going, you know how long you're going to be there, you know when you're going to be able to go to sleep and eat, and when you're going to start work, when you're going to stop work. This isn't like that. This is not like that at all. Like, you don't know where you're going, you don't know where you're going to sleep, you don't know how long it's going to be till you can go to sleep. You don't know if you're going to be able to fall asleep because you're so freaking stressed out your first couple days trying to not mess anything up. You know, these people are calling you that didn't answer on the first go around. You're driving down the interstate trying to take their name and number and write down their appointment time while you're going 70 miles an hour down the interstate. You know, whenever I see people that are like, oh, I just passed my adjuster test, I wish there was a test for like people to multitask. Like, okay, well, can you pat your head and rub your stomach at the same time while your foot takes a note on the dashboard? Like, that's kind of really more what it's like, you know? Like, okay, cool, I checked my email today. That's cool. Can you check your email while driving, while taking a note, while there's, you know, birds falling out of the sky, you have to swerve because there's a car broken down and there's somebody merging into this lane, and oh my god, now my phone's ringing with another phone call. Like, that's just very, very like typical everyday type of stuff. And then when you get there, conveniently, hurricane season is in the middle of summer, so it's also like 1,000 degrees outside, which I don't know about you, but when I get overheated, my brain don't really work that great. So, you know, you're having to make a list of really stupid things you shouldn't be forgetting that you will forget because you can't think straight because you're outside and it's 110 degrees and you've been outside since 8 o'clock this morning. And it's now, you know, 3 o'clock, you haven't eaten, you're tired, you're hungry, there's nowhere to pee. Yeah, that was a weird face, huh? Anyway, so, yeah, but, so now we're going to go to the light side of it. So, meanwhile, you're in a different state, in a place that you've never been before. And if you like traveling, that's cool. You're getting to see all these different new towns and little things about them that are really specific and really cool to learn about and see and experience. Different food, which is awesome, different culture, different people. And you know, a lot of the time these people, they're just so grateful to see you and give the information that you're able to give them and reassure them and tell them, okay, well, this is what the journey is going to be like. And you know, even in the back of your mind, if you know like this is going to be a long ass journey, try to be optimistic and, you know, use positive words to try to reassure them that, you know, even though their whole house was, you know, it's not looking good. The silver lining, my first manager told me this, you know, the silver lining of it all is maybe they bought that house 4 years ago and they hate the layout. Well, guess what? You get to change that motherfucker. You can make that layout however you want. You want a bigger kitchen, you want to knock down those walls and make an open floor concept. Guess what? You get to do that. And somebody else is going to pay for it. Well, you paid for it through the insurance, of course, but you know, there's a lot of cool, optimistic things that can come out of having to do things like that. And yes, it's gonna take a long time, and yeah, it's gonna be a really, really tough process, especially if these people aren't able to live in their houses and, you know, everything like that. So staying in contact communication is key. You know, every time you touch their file or you're thinking about them, it's good to reach out and just say, hey, I was thinking about you and I just wanted you to know that this happened, or I talked to this person and they're reviewing your file, or whatever, you know, because their whole lives, these people, it's their whole lives. And it's a lot different than when you get home and you've had a little bit of experience and you start doing these daily claims, which in my experience, daily claims is mostly just roofers going to people's houses saying, oh my God, I can get you a free roof. And maybe I'm going to get shot in the foot for saying that, but that is my experience. Sometimes they legit need a new roof. Sometimes I want to say things that I'm not going to say. But either way, that's how the world works. And I'm thankful to have the work. Yes. So anyway, so there's a lot of really cool things about cat work that are just, you know, you never see anything like it. And theoretically, it's not cool stuff. It's just stuff that you would never normally see. Like, if people ask me, what's the craziest thing you've seen? A casino boat in the middle of the interstate. That was crazy. Campers upside down. It damn sure makes your drive to work a lot more interesting, you know? And there's a lot of times where if you're into paying it forward, giving back, there's just ample opportunity for doing little stuff like that, which is really, really cool. You know, keep some extra gas for generators. So if you're out looking at damage, doing things that everyone does, because everyone just wants to see things that are not common, you know, keep some gas with you so you can stop and say, hey, local person that is running a generator, do you need a fill up? You know, it matters. It really matters, because these people's lives are upside down. My last deployment was up in Tennessee. I was staying at a campground there was a lot of people that lived there permanently. And there was these little kids that every day I'd get off from doing inspections, come home, and they'd be at my truck window, hello. And, you know, they became like my little buddies. And you could tell their family was falling on hard times. They lived in a camper that was less than ideal. And the kids were always outside playing in the dirt. And I know what you're thinking. I grew up playing in the dirt too, but this is not like play dirt. This is the middle of the road with rocks in it. So, you know, they never seem to have any toys. And, you know, I don't have any kids. I don't have anyone to like do anything like that for. So Easter was coming along. I went and I got them a couple Easter baskets and had them delivered to the office. So the office could give them to the families, and they could give them to the kids as if, they were giving them to them. I didn't really want them to know that I was the one that got them. So that was cool, and it gave me something to do, something to pay forward and, everything like that. So, more positive things about deployment. It really is fun. It really is. It's mostly because it's a crazy adventure and you never know what's going to happen. You get the call, you don't know where you're going. It's always like that. Like my deployment in Tennessee, they said, okay, go to Tennessee. Well, I don't know if you know this, but Tennessee is really long, like really, really long. And, like from Memphis to the mountains is a long drive, especially when you're pulling a camper at 6 miles a gallon. And so I head up there, and meanwhile, they're doing this online training. Okay, well, I have a 10-hour drive, and so I'm sitting there trying to pull a camper on the interstate while I'm learning how to use this online platform. Like, what the hell? This is just, none of it is ideal. It really is not ideal. Just a lot of just not organized stuff that you're going to have to figure out by yourself. And, if you're in the Facebook groups and you're asking questions that are easily researchable online, if you didn't know, that's why the senior people and the seasoned adjusters give people such a hard time about that, because there's so many tests of just research ability that you're gonna have to do when you get out there, that they just assume if you can't figure that out, before you even start, then you're probably not gonna do very well, because there's not always somebody to say, hey, this is what you do now. Sometimes you gotta Google stuff, even just Xactimate stuff, or how far apart is a rafter, or how far apart is, whatever. So, yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff about cat work. There's a lot of really crazy stuff about cat work. Everyone does it differently. Some people go there and they do what they need to do. Some people go there and they just kill it, working 74 hours a day type of thing. Everyone has a different approach to it, and that's not always a good thing, to try to overwork everything, because you lose accuracy and everything you need to try to get everything done on the right foot. Because sure, you can do supplements, but I've worked on the supplement end of things, and it really, really holds up the ability for these people to get their houses repaired, So, I don't know. Being able to go in and try to keep a good attitude while still explaining to them in the most positive way that you can that this is going to be a long-ass process is, the best thing that you can possibly do. If you're just considering getting into this, consider being gone for months at a time. Consider you have to have a couple $1,000s every storm you start out with. Even if they give you an advance, they're giving you some little piddly-wink $600 advance. Okay, cool. What the hell is that going to do? Pay for your gas to get there? So you're going to have a credit card or some kind of thing to start out paying your expenses until everything starts rolling in. Your first couple deployments, you're going to go super painfully slow because you're still learning how to do everything. And every company that you're with, it's a different learning curve, how they want the files, how the carriers accept things, what they allow, what they don't allow, different ways to input them into Xactimate, things like that. And so, your first couple days are painful. You might not even get a report done. My first deployment, I was sitting there, I knew how to, what the hell did I know how to do? I knew how to open the program. Yeah. I knew how to scope. That was the only thing I knew how to do, was I knew how to scope, because I'd spent the whole year before that working for general contractors. I'd gone on deployment. I'd written a couple reports, but it was in different software. And so, Ian comes along. I get hired by this company. I told him I had a little bit of experience, not so sharp on Xactimate. They were prepared for that. So by the time I sat down to write my reports, all right, I got my pictures. I'd taken like 300 of them for some soffit damage and a shingle, and they're like, dude, you don't need 300 pictures of this. But I'd come from being a flood mentee, so you take 300 pictures with that sometimes more, who knows. So I sit down and I'm like, okay, how do I get my pictures into Xactimate? Okay, what do I do now? Okay. So it took a long ass time to finally get the whole process, because it's one of those things where if you didn't know that's what you had to do, you would never know that's what you had to do. There's specific sections of the program that you have to like input things into, and then take stuff away and add stuff, and write certain sentences like, we defer coverage to the carrier, and all this crap, where to put that, overhead and profit, when to use that, when to not use that, labor minimums, all that stuff that you just don't know until you know. And there are, I guess, like fancy training programs that you can go to, and you can learn all that shit. Or you could just take a low-paying deployment from a company that I'm not going to name, from a company, and kind of swim your way through it, get super stressed out, but in the end make a couple dollars and not have paid a couple dollars to learn the same shit in a theoretical scenario. So, if you have the opportunity to do that, do that. And I've said this in my other videos, but if you don't have any relevant experience, like you're a software engineer or whatever, gas station clerk, I've always wanted to do that, by the way. I thought that would be a cool job. Go to your local roofing companies or general contractors and be like, what up? I'm so-and-so. I would like to work with you. And any relevant construction experience that you can get like that, especially roofing stuff, that is, in the adjuster world, relevant experience. Everyone gets so hung up on, oh, well, I don't know how I can become an adjuster if I can't get hired as an adjuster and get the experience. Well, that's not exactly what they're always talking about. They just want to know that you know how to identify shingle types. What's under the shingles? What's under the layers of under the shingles? What's under that? What's above the drywall? What's the different, R ratings of insulation and different things like that they don't have time to teach you that stuff. Like, they'll tell you, if you're rebuilding a pole barn that's completely wiped out, sure, they're going to have time to explain, okay, this piece is called this, or that piece is called that, or this is typically spaced like this, or whatever. But, as far as knowing, like, what the different types of paint, primer, sealants, different things like that, flooring, insulation, and all that stuff, you got to kind of like have a decent grasp on that type of stuff to be able to go out and start rocking and rolling with some kind of consistency. So hopefully that's helpful. Go get a job with a roofing company. They hire everybody with a beating heart, just like people during deployment. But if you have the experience working at the roofing company before you get there, you will be 100% faster and more efficient and able to identify damage, which, if you are getting paid on fee schedule, you want to identify as much damage as you can, and also helps to prevent them having to do supplements later. So there's a bunch of different ways that I wish I would have known without just randomly stumbling upon it myself. Like when I first started out, they just told me like, oh yeah, this is really hard to get into. Okay, that's helpful. Well, how do I get into it? well, I knew so-and-so, and I knew this, and I knew that person, and my dad was an adjuster. Well, that's not fucking helpful. My dad's dead, so he ain't gonna show me shit. So a lot of the time you have to figure it out yourself, whether it is going to networking conferences. They have a bunch of those. Those are good. Go there, meet people, have a good time, talk about adjusting stuff. Send your resume to all of these different adjusting firms. You can find ample lists of them everywhere, and keep bothering them, Contact them once a month. Every time there's a rainstorm that's prevalent to your area, be like, what up? Did y'all get any claims? And eventually they'll be like, dang, what was that one person that just seemed like they wanted a job so bad? And they'll remember you, and you'll get there, and don't get wrapped up with all these people talking about, I don't know, I spent a lot of time on this damn Facebook group getting wrapped up in people saying, oh, how many claims do you run a day? Well, I run 47 claims a day. Do you? That's wild. So wild that I don't believe it. So don't get wrapped up on what everybody else is doing. Just be the best version of yourself, and everything will end up shaking out. If you do one a day, that's fine. And then pretty soon you'll be doing 2 a day. And then pretty soon you'll be doing 3 a day. And pretty soon you'll have the ability to do quite a few a day, but you'll know what that entails. Like, good God, I'm not going to sleep tonight. I can't make dinner. I have to order dinner. And, you'll figure out what you want to do. What's comfortable for you. You can kind of average out how much money that you'll make. And, that's another thing is I have a acquaintance that every time I talk to him, he tells me, oh, well, I just closed a claim and I made $11,000. That's great. That's great. That's really great. That is irrelevant to me. That is, not what I'm doing at this point. It's a good goal to shoot for, but if I sit here and obsess over how I'm making, oh God, if I had to divide that into a percentage, much, much less than that per claim, I would probably drive my car off of a bridge. So, you can't focus on that. You really just have to look behind you and say, look how fucking far I've come. Holy crap, and be proud of yourself. And yeah, the money's there. It is. My first deployment, I was really slow, really inefficient. I didn't know shit. I made $46,000 in 2 months. So imagine what I can do this year and next year and every year moving forward now that I know what I know. So, don't worry about anybody else. Gather what you can that's useful from them and keep moving forward. That's really all you can do. So this was the longest rant. I know. Maybe there was something useful in there. Who knows? All right. See you out there. Bye.